Hey everybody, I just want to talk about electric vehicles and their retention value. And if you're an investor in electric vehicles or if you're looking to buy an electric vehicle, it's really important that you understand this. Why? Because besides a house or a home, a vehicle is probably the second biggest investment you're ever going to make in your life. So let's try to understand how a retention value works. So it says right here, according to Business Insider, once you've driven a vehicle off the lot, it will only hold about 37% of its original value after 5 years. That's a big deal, right? So what allows a vehicle to retain its value is, things like upkeep, maintenance, the range of the vehicle. But, more specifically when it comes to electric vehicles, right? The biggest thing that's going to be the biggest factor to retaining the value of the electric vehicle is the range. Because the interior and exterior are very cheap and easy to fix or improve, right? When it comes to the technology itself, whether it be full self-driving or any kind of updates for autonomous driving or any kind of update for how the vehicle functions, you can do this, via Wi-Fi, for example. You can download updates for your vehicle's performance. But for electric vehicles, the biggest factor to maintaining its value again is the range. So when you look at electric vehicle, let's take a look at this. So this is the top 10 longest range of electric cars in 2021. So the Model S, which is 81,000, is 373. The Model X, 89, 371. Tesla Model 3, 353. And if we keep going down, it just goes down in range. And after, the more expensive top of the line electric vehicles, it starts going down to 300, 259, 258, 250, 234. Okay, but none of these are Chinese electric vehicles, right? Like NIO, for example, which has, I think, on the higher echelons of 300s. But anyway, my point is that while this is a big deal, it's good that these vehicles have a lot of range. None of these have solid state batteries, and when solid state batteries technology comes through, we're gonna have an estimated range of. So we're going to have over 600 miles of range supposedly. This is going off EPS. So if the standard range from a partial solid state battery is going to be 600, and the current batteries, and I understand all these numbers are being very generous, right? Under the right circumstances, these vehicles can reach these types of range. But with the 150 kilowatt hour battery, it's going to be 600 miles. This is a partial solid state battery, and that's going to be released maybe sometime next year for the ET7. So as we see here, it's really important to understand that if you buy an electric vehicle today, you're going to be stuck with a vehicle that has a range between, 200, less than 234 to up to 373, and these are really generous numbers. But look, it's really important that we understand that how fast the battery technology is improving, because by the end of next year, you're going to have a battery that can go up to 600 miles, even if it's partial solid state battery. So what about when it's full solid state battery? Will it be 650, 700 or more, 800 or more? What about when each time we refine and improve the battery technology, the range is only going to increase? But you may be worrying right now, right, about range anxiety. You may be a little dissatisfied with the fact that you're stuck with an electric vehicle that has such a low range, because the average ICE vehicle has, over 500 miles of range. The average hybrid has over 800, 900, and 1,000 miles of range. But your electric vehicle, which costs a lot of money, is only going to give you 250 or less, or 300 and up to maybe 380 miles of range at max. But the only company I see understanding this is NIO, and the reason why is because they have battery swap technology. So this means that, let's just pretend that the average range of a battery is anywhere from 300 miles to 350 miles. Only NIO vehicles allow for its users to swap the battery out very conveniently through its battery swap stations. So let's take a look at that. So the reason why it's important is because it's not only important as an investor to understand this, it's important to understand what your consumer is going to be looking at, okay? So for a NIO vehicle, all a person has to do is autonomously drive their vehicle inside this NIO swap station and have the battery swapped out in less than 3 minutes. Or you can manually drive it in, or have the worker drive it in for you. But as technology improves and autonomous capabilities improve as well, you won't need anyone in these NIO swap stations. But the key thing to understand is that it only takes 3 minutes to swap out these batteries, and that's not even it either. One day, very soon, in less than 365 days, the average range of a battery for electric vehicles is not going to be 200 to 350. It's gonna be 500 or more miles. So everyone who bought an electric vehicle before then is stuck with their depreciating battery, which won't allow for good, proper vehicle retention, while a NIO vehicle can swap out their battery for the latest and greatest battery each and every time a new battery comes out. So that's really good for the consumer, and it's really important for the investor to understand it as well, because it's what allows NIO to win. But the problem is that most consumers don't even understand or realize NIO is an option, because one, it's only in China at this moment, and now Norway, and two, people don't even know what NIO is. So let's take another look at Lucid. So the Lucid Air is going to have an EPA of 520 miles, right? The ET7 is going to have 600 miles of range. The problem is that in 3 years from now, when solid state batteries are even more refined, maybe it's going to, again, this average might go up to 700 or 800, right? But an ET7 user, a NIO user, any NIO you buy, you can swap the battery out for the latest and greatest battery. So it doesn't matter which battery you buy. But if you buy a Lucid Air, you're stuck with this 520 miles of range for the rest of its life. So in 5 years from now, when the range goes up to maybe 700 on average, or 800 miles on average, you're stuck with this 520 miles of range. So, and if you want to resell, any of these vehicles, whether it be a Lucid, a Tesla, the problem is that if your vehicle has an average range of 300 to 350 miles of range for any Tesla or any electric vehicle, if you want to sell that, for 30% less than what you bought it for example, how can you convince someone to buy that vehicle off of you? Because the problem is that maybe the current Model X has a range of 350 miles, but then the Model X in 2023 or 2024 will have maybe a 600 mile range or a 700 mile range. So you're gonna have to, the retention value isn't there because the standard of batteries have gone up so tremendously, right? So yes, the vehicle itself, the shell of the vehicle, may be able to keep up in terms of technology and the looks and exterior and the design, But the range is a problem. So it's like, okay, I can either buy this used Model X for $30,000 or $25,000 or $20,000, or I can buy the Model X in 2023, which has double the range, and it's going to cost me $35,000 or $40,000 for a brand new one, or $45,000. So I'll just go buy the brand new one. And that's the problem, because it's people who buy these electric vehicles are stuck with these degrading batteries that cannot easily be swappable. But only NIO users can conveniently swap out their batteries. So even if NIO didn't have swap stations everywhere, it wouldn't matter, because the fact that you can swap out the batteries so conveniently allows for NIO to stay relevant. So you can buy the ES6, 4 or 5 years ago or something, or yeah, three or 4 years ago, and that ES6 will hold its value. It'll retain its value because it can always keep up with the range, which is why NIO is so genius, because it's a luxury vehicle. It's always going to be relevant. The exterior and exterior are beautiful. Okay, it's never going to become irrelevant, and it's always going to be designed for comfort. You can always upgrade the vehicle easily in terms of its technology, because NIO is focusing on LiDAR. These things are external and they're very easily attachable. But the range, that's the biggest issue. The battery cannot keep up in terms of its market value, because it cannot keep up with the standard that keeps improving. But a NIO can, because it can swap the battery out. So in 7 years from now, when the range of an electric vehicle currently goes from 200 to 350, which is the current standard, and in 5-7 years from now it goes up to 800 miles or more, well, NIO users can just keep swapping their battery out every time advancements in technology is made. But everyone else cannot conveniently swap their battery out. It costs tons of money, it takes a lot of manpower, it's not very practical for the user or the company itself that does it. Only NIO can swap the batteries out, which is why NIO understands and is gonna win. The problem is that Wall Street hasn't really caught up to this, and neither has the average retail investor, because people only look at NIO's battery swap station as a alternative to charging. It's not only that. It allows for the retention value to keep up to date. It allows for robo-taxi infrastructure. It allows for consumers to always keep up with the latest and greatest battery technology. And that's what people do not understand. So if you're looking for an electric vehicle today, if you're a consumer looking for an electric vehicle today, I would look for a company that offers battery swapping. And if you could buy a NIO, I would buy a NIO, because even if today the standard electric vehicle can only go up to maybe 350 miles on average, it won't matter when solid state batteries come out in less than a year's time from now. That goes up to 600 miles, because you can just swap out your current battery, for a 100. If you're stuck with a 100 kilowatt hour battery today, you can swap it out for a 150 hour kilowatt battery with a NIO. But if you own a Tesla or a Mercedes or a Porsche electric vehicle, any other electric vehicle company, Xpeng, you're stuck with the current battery that you bought the vehicle with, and it's not feasible to swap the battery out. And that's what you have to understand as a consumer and as an investor. So battery swap technology actually makes a lot of sense because of how rapidly we are making improvements. So I hope you keep that in mind, because I think it's really important that, again, as investors and customers, you realize that. So yeah, good luck.